Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the Commonwealth is becoming more modernized after recently installing its new vehicle information system. And soon, Kentucky could be facing more changes as the Safer Kentucky Act makes its way to the House floor.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. We're just a few minutes past 5:30 on Friday, January 19th. Now let's check in with meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your forecast this morning.
Good morning, Olivia, and good morning, everyone. Most of us under a winter weather advisory as we jump into your Friday, except for those of you who make way toward Harlan County, Letcher County, and Pike County. Winter storm warnings as snowfall tallies could be upwards of 5 inches as you make your way across the high terrain. The pinpoint Doppler radar active across our northern counties. We flip-flop some of the colors here, and you notice as you get through northern portions of Floyd County, spotty in nature back toward Breathitt County, but the more widespread action is up as you make your way from Elliott, Johnson, Lawrence counties up toward Boyd County. We got a good burst of some snow heading into portions of Virginia. Make your way down 64 toward Bath County, and then in and around Bourbon County and Harrison County, things start to lighten up. But Owen County beyond into southern portions of Indiana, another flare-up of snow showers and a burst of light snow. So if things seem like they've come to an end, especially as you make your way back toward the Cumberland Valley, don't worry, it's going to pick up once again. 2 to 4, Jackson, Hazard, up toward Moorhead, out toward Pike and Harlan counties, where again you could see possibly upwards of 5 inches of snow. All right, the breakfast forecast, get them Wheaties going, get ready into a weekend. Temps fall back a couple more degrees before the sun rises and we start to warm things up a smidge. But hey, at least it's feeling better now than it will tomorrow, and I'll explain. Your first alert, 7-day forecast coming up in just a few moments. Olivia?
All right, thank you, Tim. Kentucky State Police have identified the victim of a deadly fire in Floyd County earlier this week. Crews responded to a fire and found 63-year-old Diane Price had died inside the home along Willow Valley. Her body was sent to the state medical examiner's office for an autopsy. Price's cause of death is under investigation, but we are told no foul play is suspected. The cause of the fire is still not known. Now an update on a story we told you about earlier this week, also in Floyd County. A northern Kentucky mother has died due to suspected carbon monoxide poisoning. State police say 2 women were on a youth group retreat at the Bluegrass Palace in Langley, where they were found unresponsive. The Floyd County coroner says 44-year-old Kara Hanks of Melbourne died before she reached the hospital. The other woman is still in the hospital. Following a statewide shutdown of county clerk's offices to transition to a new system at the start of the year, the clerk's offices are now back open, but not without some issues. I was able to speak with officials at the Perry County Clerk's office to learn more. The Kentucky Automated Vehicle Information System, also known as CAVIS, was implemented in county clerk's offices statewide at the beginning of the year. But Perry County Clerk Wayne Napier says right now several issues in the system are causing a headache for customers and employees.
Some of the bugs is the dealer work cart. That's when they get it all fixed and try to check out. That wasn't working, so they had to back out so many vehicles yesterday. After they already got it put in the system, they had to back it back out. It's just one problem after another one. We're just doing the best we can.
The previous system was roughly 50 years old. However, Perry County Deputy Clerk says they trained on the new one for nearly a year. And to have this many issues is frustrating.
You know, when we go into it and try to take the steps that they've taught us to take, and it stops us every time. So we have a little chat box that goes in and we can ask them questions, and every time we ask them something they say, well, that's a bug and we are working on it, we don't have it fixed yet, so it stops what we're doing.
And Colin says once the bugs are fixed, she believes it will be a better system. But right now it is a different story.
There's so many bugs, we can't help customers like we should be able to. we are asking Frankfurt, how do we fix this? What do we need to do? What can we tell our customers? And we have to wait for them to get back to us. And we know that they're frustrated. We are very frustrated.
They're not sure how long it will take CAVIS officials to fix the bugs for good. Electric vehicle owners are dealing with battery issues because of the Arctic temperatures. Earlier this week in Chicago, extreme cold left Tesla drivers stranded with dead batteries. The charging stations were not working because of sub-zero temperatures.
Especially in the Tesla world, if you let your state of charge of the battery get below about 30% in cold weather, you run the risk of extremely long times to charge the vehicles at the fast chargers.
Mike Proctor says he recently took his Tesla out for a 50-mile road trip. He says the outside temperature was 32 degrees, and during that trip, his battery power was reduced by 14%. He says he lost 50 miles in range capability just because of the cold weather. The calm weather for much of yesterday gave road crews some time to prepare for last night's snow. Crews in Pulaski County spent much of yesterday tightening bolts and changing out blades on snow plows. State highway crews have been working 12-hour shifts, and that is expected to go through the weekend. Somerset streets and road crews worked a 24-hour shift Sunday and a Monday and spent yesterday preparing for another round of weather.
Well, we're here again for the duration, and hopefully we can get another round of salt down this evening or this afternoon before it starts and allow this to come off a lot easier.
Of course, it gets tiring, you know, and it gets long after so many hours, especially those guys and girls that are out there, you know, plowing in the middle of the night, you know, and it's just constantly, you know, the snow's falling, precipitation is falling, and they don't feel like they're making any headway, you know, whenever it gets covered back up.
Both the city of Somerset and state highway garage officials say they have plenty of salt. In fact, they say they are likely still using some salt left over from last year. Kentuckians are finding ways to escape these wintry conditions and are headed for the Caribbean. AAA of the Bluegrass says January is peak season for Kentuckians to book and board cruise lines. Lori Weaver Hawkins with AAA of the Bluegrass says cruises have been growing in popularity since the end of the pandemic. Weaver Hawkins says people are drawn to cruises because it allows passengers to see multiple destinations while only packing one time. She says more families are taking to the water and more ships are coming online. The drawback, Weaver Hawkins says the demand is high and that brings a higher cost.
So when we were first coming out of the pandemic, cruises, as they came back in line and people were taking a cruise again, we saw some really great deals. There are fewer of those great deals out there now because of this demand.
Weaver Hawkins suggests to book ahead of time to get better pricing. Royal Caribbean is close to launching the world's largest cruise ship, Icon of the Seas. It has a maximum capacity of 10,000 passengers. The House Judiciary Committee passed House Bill 5, also known as the Safer Kentucky Act. The vote came after 2 hours of testimony from those for and against it. The bill looks to strengthen Kentucky crime laws, including people convicted of the murder of first responders facing life in prison or the death penalty. It would also create a third strike penalty for repeat violent offenders. The widow of Scott County Deputy Caleb Conley, who was shot in the line of duty last year, testified yesterday for the bill.
We are the ones who suffer the consequences of these crimes. And I believe if this bill is passed, it will make a difference. If people know that if they murder a first responder, they will go to prison for the rest of their lives, or they will receive a sentence of death, maybe then they will stop killing our first responders.
Opponents of the bill say it criminalizes homelessness. The bill now heads to the full House and is expected to be taken up next week. A state lawmaker wants to stop abusers from getting their victims' money. House Bill 155 would protect the retirement and life insurance money of domestic abuse survivors. The measure would apply in cases where spouses are convicted of felonies against their partners. A survivor who wanted to remain anonymous testified in Frankfort yesterday. That person's family member says she thinks it's wrong that abusers can get any part of the victim's assets.
It's unfair to go to prison and still take your spouse's, half of your spouse's pension to force the victim to live beneath poverty level. And that's what we're dealing with.
A House committee passed the bill. Some lawmakers want to make sure it will apply to crimes committed after couples file for divorce as well. And when we return, an iconic Southern sweetheart is making their way to the Super Bowl this year to sing the national anthem.
Weather-wise, we wake up on a Friday morning to more wintry weather. How cold does it turn out? Oh, hold on a second. Something about a warm-up too, right? All the details with the First Alert 7-day forecast coming up after the break.